My name is Refilwe Lesufi. I am a professionally registered civil engineer. I also sit at the board at CESA, and I'm also the chairperson of the Transformation and Development Committee. I'm a mother, and I'm also the founder of Prana Consulting. I chose engineering as a career path for many reasons. The first one being that I always wanted to challenge my male counterparts. And when I got to eventually understand what civil engineering was, and I knew that it was male dominated, it was a big challenge for me to go and participate in that space. Little did I know what I would face later on in life. But anyway, the main reason is because I lived in a township and I had grandparents and families who lived in villages, and we were fortunate enough to, have a switch to switch on your electricity, and when you need water, you just need to turn on a tap. And every time I'd go and visit my families who came from the rural parts of the country, I would be so upset because the toilet systems that were being used were pit latrines, and automatically you would have a fear of such systems because you're used to a flushing toilet. You had to go get water from a tap far away. And in my head, even as a child, I kept thinking to myself, who makes these decisions? Who decides which kind of population deserves what type of services? Obviously not in those words because I was still a child. And then when I got to high school, I changed my mind. I wanted to become a doctor. But then one day, representatives from ESCOM came and they were explaining what engineering is all about. And then I realized that, okay, so maybe it's probably civil engineering that I need to be into because I was concerned about the infrastructure disparities. And yeah, then I got a bursary with ESCOM based on the fact that I had done well. I was like one of the top students at the high school. And then that's how I ended up at Wits University doing civil engineering. So my career commenced with working at ESCOM in order for me to pay off for the bursary that they had so generously given me. And after a couple of years, then I moved on to PDNA, and there I met my first mentor, who is the person who actually shaped my career and also my business. And he was in geotechnical engineering, and that's how I got into geotechnical engineering. And during that time that I spent at PDNA, I also managed to get my PRN because of the exposure that I got. I got the opportunity to design roads and design infrastructure services such as sewer and water. I got to see piling being conducted at a development in Pretoria. And because I had such great mentors, I had the vast experience that's required for me to be able to meet the outcomes that eventually led me to getting my PRN. And during that time, I also did my master's as well with Wits University. And from there, I moved on because then I was a mother to very young children, and consulting is quite a lot of work and it's quite challenging. So I realized that I needed to settle down a little bit so that I wouldn't miss the formative years of my children's lives. And I decided I'll go get an easier job. And I went to join the NHBRC, which was a lot of research, but it was definitely still better than being in consulting. And from then on, I moved on to a property development company where I did their engineering, peer reviewed quite a lot because it was such a big company. They would outsource the engineering consulting services, and I peer reviewed quite a lot of their designs, the civil designs. I did their geotechnical investigations. And then in 2011, I founded Prana Consulting. The reason why I decided to do that is because in my head, I thought that running my own business would allow me the time to be able to to raise my children and to be able to be a present mother. Little did I realize that, sure, it's going to be really, really challenging. But I'm glad that I've made that decision. It's 10 years on and Prana is growing and we are very proud of what we have achieved. So what challenges do women face in the engineering profession? Can actually write a whole book about that. There are just basic barriers to entry. I mean, if you look from high school stage, kids are actually, especially the girl child, is expected to do a whole lot more home chores than the boys. And as a result, a lot of them drop out and don't even make it to matric because of the social responsibility that lies on them purely because they are girl children, they are female. And then when you get to university as well, it's quite a challenge. And then you get on to start working. That's when you realize that this very male-dominated industry is really not conducive. If you are a woman and if you choose to then have a family, it becomes very difficult. You can hang around with your peers, the male counterparts, but comes a certain point, if you've got a family, you have to leave them and you have to go home and go do your, attend to your roles as a mother or a wife. And the guys continue with their lives. And then the next time you meet with them, agreements have been signed and they have moved on and they've left you behind. So that's one of the barriers. The other one is motherhood penalties, which I think I've already touched on by implying that there just comes a point in a day where you know that you have to be home and you have to attend to all those responsibilities that require you as a mother. And then we've also got, unfortunately, wage disparities, where as a woman, you are just seen to be deserving lesser of a wage than the guy. It boggles my mind. I don't understand it, but that's just how the industry is set up. You've also got, in order for somebody to become a professional, registered person as a civil engineer, at least you have to do your training and your experience and exposure, but part of it involves you going to site, for example. And the challenges of being a woman on site are just immense. You get catcalled, you don't get the respect that you deserve because then, you know, the male people on site tend to undermine women. And also, I think internally as a woman, especially as a Black woman, when you grow up, you are told that you need to respect your elders and respect the males in your life. So now it becomes very challenging when you are working and you have to, you are a supervisor or a boss to somebody who's older than you and they happen to be male. That brings about a real challenge. You have to literally readjust your subconscious setting to actually say that this is work. I can't treat this person as if they are my mother or my uncle, but I need to treat them as my subordinate. Yeah, I think I'll just end there. There are many though.
Okay, perfect. What are your hopes for the future of engineering?
My hopes for the future of engineering is that we will have a fair and equitable sector where you are not judged by your gender or your race, but you are judged purely on your abilities and your capabilities and qualifications. And I've got hope in the Employment Equity Act that's being revised, which is trying to actually increase the EE target. I'm hoping that that's going to provide more opportunities for females to get to levels within their careers, within their businesses, where, yeah, because they are deserving of it, you know, and they've put in all the hard work and the effort into their work, but because of these barriers that the sector has placed on us, we've been unable to achieve. So I'm hoping to see quite a lot of women sitting on boards, I am hoping to see women who break through the middle management barrier that we've got and sitting at C-suite managerial positions. And from a business perspective, I have hope that the 40% set aside that was announced by our president last year will become a reality, and that female businesses can actually get to participate in the economy, so that we can build our businesses to a level where our male counterparts are. My hopes for the future of engineering is that we will have a fair and equitable sector, where you are not judged by your gender or your race, but you are judged purely on your abilities and your capabilities and qualifications. And I've got hope in the Employment Equity Act that's being revised, which is trying to actually increase the EE target. I'm hoping that that's going to provide more opportunities for females to get to levels within their careers, within their businesses, where, yeah, because they are deserving of it, you know, and they've put in all the hard work and the effort into their work, but because of these barriers that the sector has placed on us, we've been unable to achieve. So I'm hoping to see quite a lot of women sitting on boards. I am hoping to see women who break through the middle management barrier that we've got and sitting at C-suite managerial positions. And from a business perspective, I have hope that the 40% set aside that was announced by our president last year will become a reality, and that female businesses can actually get to participate in the economy, so that we can build our businesses to a level where our male counterparts are. Advice that I would like to give to young women who would like to be in the engineering field is that you have to fully understand what you're getting yourself into, that it is achievable, that you will struggle with your work-life balance, but it's not something that's insurmountable, that the future depends on you, and that if you can stand up and become a role model for other young women, imagine the whole network of females that we're going to create that's going to become a power to be reckoned with.